Hi, I'm Katie Smith, and my best advice is always put fun first.
I love that. Put fun first. So when did you figure out that that was an important piece of advice for you?
This December, I had been stressing myself out, trying to be successful in every single area of my life, and I ended up with frozen shoulder and shingles and the flu all at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought something has to change. So I wasn't having fun at all of these pursuits. I was stressing myself out, and I think that's really common for a lot of people. And I know that when I put fun first, that is when the magic happens. So I printed myself a little sign for my office to remind myself that, you know, why are we working? Why are we working if we're not having fun?
I love that. That's beautiful. So what does that look like for you on a daily basis, Katie?
So it looks like having waking up and doing something for myself first. So I'm not great at sticking to routine. So I just have time in the morning where I can do something. So go for a walk, play my fiddle, read, whatever strikes me that day. I just start off with something fun, and then the first thing that I do for my work day is something that I'm looking forward to.
I love that. That's so simple and yet so powerful to do. And it gives you the energy then to keep it going the rest of the day, I find. Because I
Yeah.
love to put fun first too. Though I'm not always good at it, but I love to do that when I can.
Yep.
So cool. Well, let's talk about authenticity because we're going to talk about marketing and sales and branding and all that other good stuff. But let's talk about authenticity because that's something that's so important and such a can be such a buzzword that is meaningless. But what does authenticity mean to you and how does that show up in your business?
Authenticity means telling the truth, no matter what that looks like. And that really I had to really think hard about that a few years ago. I began working with companies, organizations that they're kind of trying to break the mold in their businesses, and especially when it comes to protecting the planet, protecting people. And I found a lot of the people was talking to, they were actually doing the good work, but they weren't doing it perfectly because you can't right now. You cannot have a perfectly clean business or do things perfectly for your people. And they were afraid of putting that information out there and being accused of greenwashing or being accused of the organizations who were touting themselves like they were doing it perfectly. So we really, I had so many conversations with people, and I just came to like, well, let's just tell the truth. Let's tell the truth about our efforts. Let's tell the truth about where we're doing well and where we're not doing well. Um, if you tell the truth, then you're not going to get stuck in that greenwashing space, and I think that's where you connect with people, right? Because people aren't doing everything perfectly in life, and if we create that facade, no one is having fun. So authenticity really means telling the truth to me and to the work
That's
that I do.
that's so good. That's so good and so simple and yet so often that organizations don't do it. Why did you find that or was that easy for them or why did you find that that was hard?
Well, I think they look at, these bigger brands. I think at the time Amazon was like they were being accused of treating their workers poorly, and they were putting out these commercials of workers laughing and having fun. Um they had experienced brands putting out their like very minute environmental efforts as this big, they were going to be carbon neutral, and they were going to do all of these things and not actually moving forward towards that. Some of the people I talk to, they have solutions that will help those companies do that, but they didn't want to have that double speak in their businesses, and they were so worried about it. They cared about the trust of their people. And I think maybe that is the the big piece is they care about their people, they care about their clients, they care about their potential customers, and they want to build trust. They didn't want to be seen as being fake or being unreal. And I think the other piece that we can all relate to is that they hold themselves to very high standards. So if they weren't doing it perfectly, they didn't want to talk about it. But the way that the technology is, the way that business runs, they couldn't do it perfectly. They can't, they cannot do it perfectly right now. Um, so it's just giving in a little bit and realizing that if you talk about your imperfections, that builds trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I think showing your warts often is just as trustworthy as sharing that you're awesome. In fact, maybe more so for a lot of us, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
So with that, let's talk about marketing and sales and some other stuff that's important, right? So marketing is what you do, a lot of what you do, right? You're a fractional CMO. So tell
Yep.
me, what does that mean, Katie? How does that show up? Because usually CMOs are strategic and have to be inside the business.
Yeah. So I really, really love the fractional model because it allows for nearly any business who needs marketing leadership to get it at a cost that works for them and also at a level that works for them. Not every company needs um, 40 hours a week of someone driving their team, but once in a while, once a week, once a month, once a quarter, somebody to come in, look at what they're doing, herd all the cats. Part of my job is professional cat herder to make sure that we're all going in the right direction. I think especially now, marketing it's changing so fast and you cannot be static. So having somebody who can come into your business, and I am a piece of my I consider myself inside the business. So maybe I'm not there in the day to day, but my allegiance is to the business. So when we're working with vendors, I'm negotiating on my client side, getting them the best work that they can out of our vendors. I'm learning the company really quickly. I'm communicating with all different pieces of the company. So I am sort of in the business as much as I can be and understand it and a real advocate for them. But it's flexible. So it works for me and for my brain because I like solving multiple different problems at the same time. Um, and it works for my clients because as they're growing, and growth is such a crazy period of time where um, everything is changing and everything feels like it's shifting under your feet. And so if I can come in and make sure, hey, let's get back on the same page, let's keep moving towards our goal. Oh, we had all of these boulders in our way. Okay, let's figure out ways to get around them. Let's be static. I can really give them a competitive advantage without having to be big enough to, afford and justify a full-time marketing leadership. I can just come in when I'm needed.
Cool. That's really cool. So how did you recognize that this was something that you were going to do, Katie? Because I don't know a lot of people that are fractional CMOs. I've seen them fractional integrators or fractional, other things, but I haven't seen the CMO space.
Yeah. So I didn't know what that was for a while. I'm very fortunate here in Montana. We have an exceptional business owner, entrepreneur community here. So there are a lot of great groups. And I was I was in a mastermind and I was saying what I want to do. I'm really good at strategy, right? My brain, I can like zoom up, see where's our destination, how do we get there, put it together really fast, and I can galvanize everybody to go. But have found that implementation, becoming an expert at maybe like a specific piece of marketing, like SEO or digital ads or content creation, I wasn't as good at those things. And I just wanted to do strategy. And in my group, there was a fractional CFO, chief financial officer. And he said, well, that sounds like my job, but in the marketing capacity. So we got together and talked a lot. And one day I got really frustrated and just Googled it. And and I found information about being a fractional CMO. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do. This is a fit for me. Solving complex problems for different companies and really helping them grow.
Oh, cool. So how do you find a company that's a fit for that? I mean, is it just every company is a fit that doesn't have a full-time CMO, or what do you find?
So, for me specifically, I'm looking for companies who are post startup. So if you're a startup or if you're small, you're making under $1 million, you need to invest your marketing dollars in all the tactics so that you can grow. I work with companies, they've been doing that. They've hit a plateau, they're stuck. They don't know what to do next. They have their business operations involved. They understand their planning, their goals. And now they're like, okay, we need marketing to get us to the goal. And we don't know what to do. We're throwing spaghetti at the wall. We're trying all these different things. That's where I really like to come in and say, okay, um, good job, great job. You've got to this level. You have your systems in place, and you've done some marketing, but you don't know where to go, but you need to have resources, right? So I'm not the first level of defense here. So you need to have resources to invest in marketing spend, and you need to have some people around. So I have the beauty of being a fractional CMO is I have an incredible community of people. So if we need a digital advertiser, I can bring that person in. We need a content creator, I can bring that person in. But there needs to be someone in the company who's like a marketing manager or someone who can grow into that role and help me herd all the cats and do all the make sure all the day-to-day things are functioning. So that's kind of a key piece. And then there's a cap, right? So if your business is, you're growing a lot, you've got a big marketing team of people, you have all the people in place, and you need a marketing strategy day to day, then it's time for you to hire full-time in-house. So where I fit is really that growth change. You're at this level, you want to get to this level, you have all your business strategy involved, and you want to flex the rules a little bit and you don't know how to do it. That's where I come in. But there are lots of different kinds of fractional CMOs as well. So some fractional CMOs do want to come into a business that's under transition. Maybe their CMO has left and they don't know who's going to replace it. So not all fractional CMOs are the same, but I really like to work within that post startup. Let's figure out what the next stage is phase. That's my sweet spot.
Cool. That's fun. That's really fun. So with that, that sounds like a very different path than a lot of people would take. So is that why you call your company Wild Path Consulting?
Yes, that is part of it. So I have maybe a bit of a different background than a lot of folks where, in my 20s, I spent 10 years as an outdoor guide.
Oh,
So, I would lead people on wilderness trips, all over the country. I did a little bit of rock climbing guiding, but when I moved out to Montana, I was a backcountry Nordic ski guide. So we would go into Yellowstone in the winter and stomp out our own trail. And in the summertime, I was a wrangler. So I guided people on horseback, but I also could take people hiking, canoeing, all kinds of activities. So I really have that lens of how do you lead people to a destination. And I use all of the tools that I have from guiding in my work.
that's really cool. That's quite a different. That is quite a different lens. So with that, give me one example of how maybe being an outdoor guide can help you be a great fractional CMO.
Sure. So here's a great one. So when I was guiding people on horseback, I was the lead horse, right? So, but all my people are behind me. I spent very little time sitting forward in the saddle. So often I was twisted sideways in the saddle so that I could have one eye on my guests, my clients. So now I think that is my company, making sure that they're okay. Are they comfortable? Do they understand what's going on? Do they know where we're headed? Are they, are they in control of their horse? Do they need help? So one eye looking back, taking care of everybody. But then I have to keep one eye forward. I'm looking out for, is there a tree down in the trail? Is there a bear in the trail? What obstacles do we need to look out for? And you never know what's going to happen, right? You might have to change your course pretty quickly because there's something in there, but you also have to make sure that everybody behind you is coming along. So nothing in my world is ever fixed or static. I'm always looking at what's the environment around us and what's the best, safest, and most fun way to lead everybody through, right? Because marketing can marketing can be the most fun, but it can also be incredibly stressful and not fun. So if it's my job to make sure that I am looking out for everybody on my team, everybody in the company, looking out for our clients, and then just reading the environment and finding the way through.
Wow, that's quite a good metaphor for what you do. That I love that. That's really strong. So with that, how do you help clients find fun when you don't have much time every single month to spend with them?
Right. So, there's a lot of it. I love teaching and I love coaching. And so I'm able to bring that in. So for me, there's a lot of support. When I'm working with marketing teams, they're generally, a little bit younger. They want they need guidance, and when they don't have guidance, they're stressed out. When they don't exactly know what to do, when there's pressure from their bosses, from the C-suite, from the company to get things done, to produce, they don't really know exactly what's going to work. It's stressful. It's not fun. So often I come in and when they have a plan, all of a sudden they know exactly what to do. They know when to do it. And then we get result. Often, with me, I prioritize, I organize, I help move them forward. So all of a sudden, we are not just walking in a circle, worried about where we're going, feeling lost. We're moving forward, and we're seeing results from the work. I mean, that is really fun. But then the other thing I like to do, I look out for my team. So I have their backs. I help them. I can coach them through hard conversations if they need to. Quite a few people that I've worked with they've gone on to get promotions within the company because of what we've talked about, what they've learned, and just giving them support. I can also support them, um, you know, because I work in the C-suite. I create alignment from the top down. So I reduce a lot of that friction. It also helps the C-suite as well, because often they don't really understand marketing. That's not their job. Their job is to understand finance. Their job is to understand business development. So having someone in marketing come in, a lot of times people are like, "Well, marketing, it's that thing, you just do it and it's great." Um, and so they don't have an understanding of how it fits into everything. So I come in and I create that understanding for everybody. Everybody's on the same page. And so it's a lot more fun for everybody, and to be aligned, to be working towards something, to prioritize, and not to have like the harebrained idea of the creator kind of throw us off track. I take that and I say, this is great. Let's put it in the parking lot and we'll talk about it at the next meeting, because that is a really good idea. They are always really good ideas.
Absolutely. Lots of great ideas there. So with that, Katie, how does an organization get started deciding whether or not they even want a CMO, a fractional CMO?
Right. So, I think an important piece is to understand where they want to prioritize marketing, right? So they need to see all of the other pieces that are going on in their company and we got to make sure that all the business functions are working well, because the last thing that we want to do, like, you could you could throw a lot of dollars at marketing, and all of a sudden you're bringing in so much business, but your systems aren't set up for it, right? So then you create disappointment. So your production line's not set up to handle that. Your customer service is not set up to handle that. You can't get the orders out. You can't service people. So you need to have, I believe you need to have kind of that baseline business structure ready to go. And then you need to be able to invest money into marketing. Like, you need to have a budget in order to use a fractional CMO, because anymore, you have to spend money on marketing. Guerrilla marketing is great up to a certain point of business, but it can only get you so far. If you need to reach more eyes, if you need to nurture people. And I think that's a big piece that we don't think about or understand. We think, I'm going to put out an ad, or I'm going to put out a social media post, and immediately someone is going to buy from me. And that's just not, I mean, unless you're like a plumber, or, or if you're selling, like, I don't know, if you're an emergency service, yes, that works. But especially if you are a B2B service, or if you are a high-end item, people need to think about it. I mean, think about the way that you make purchases on your own. You don't automatically buy something. You want to build trust with a company. You want to like somebody. So we need to think about that. And if you're ready to start thinking about how your customers kind of walk through their decision process, and you're ready to invest in that, in different pieces of that, having multi-channels of marketing, and you have people who can execute it, or you have dollars to bring in people who can execute it, then you're ready to go. If you don't have that, if you're still building, then I think your money is better spent on the tactics, so you can get yourself there. But a fractional CMO is not, or for me, I'm not an implementer as well. I'm solely focused on strategy. So we need to think about, how are we going to implement? And I will make that plan of how it's going to be implemented, and I can help companies find the right people for the implementation. But I think that's really important, that I think strategy and implementation are two different things. And even if you find the unicorn who can do both, they don't have time to do both well.
There you go. That's right on. So, Katie, if people want to get more from you, where should they go?
So I really like to hang out on LinkedIn. And because my name is Katie Smith, you have to search Katie Smith Wild Path Consulting, and then you'll find me. You can also follow me on my website. So it's just followthewildpath.com, which is pretty fun. But I am a big marketing nerd, so I love talking about it. I will talk to anybody about marketing. So I'd love to make more connections and have more of these conversations. I think they're really important.
Absolutely. Followthewildpath.com is where you can find more of Katie Smith, understand if her fractional CMO is good for you, and learn how she does a lot of this authentic marketing, fun, and play first. Great stuff, Katie. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. It's